Today's guest is Steph Nightingale, founder of Stimmy, creator of the world's first functional toothpick, and a true innovator in the oral care and consumer product spaces. Steph, welcome to the show.
From day one, I've always worked in perio, whether I was an assistant working for a periodontist, whether I was just in a general practice but loved doing the SRPs, or whether I worked for periodontists as a hygienist. I would always pick up the utilitarian old school rubber tip stimulator and kind of use that as a plaque indicator, show people what they were missing versus saying you need to do X better, you need to do Y better. And what happened was I'd always see eyebrows lift, like, I've seen that tool before, but no one's ever shown it to me. Or my grandma had one, or my parents have one. It's been in the drawer forever, but I didn't know what it did. And I saw that reaction so many times. And so that was kind of like the first bit. And it just kind of lived in my brain, lived in my head. I would never want to do anything with it. It's like not a sexy tool. It requires way too much educating. And it's just not something I would ever want to bring to market. So oral care in general right now, it's primed for disruption, specifically amongst millennials and Gen Zs. And, there's a lot of disruption happening that is maybe not necessarily solving a problem, but there's plenty of space for new toothpaste, new mouthwashes, new flosses, something for everyone. But there isn't really much innovation of something never been done before, completely new, and, just positioning it as the after meal toothpick, even when you're working. Super quick for context. Morning, my first call, I had a text at 4:30 a.m. Hey, are you awake? Could we hop on a quick call? Was on a call with some of my partners before 5 a.m., wrapped that up, did the recap email, updated the documents, got my daughter, breakfast ready for school, out the door, meeting 1, meeting 2, took one on the go, meeting 3, ran back here, saw you guys. Like, there is no stopping. So I work really fast, but there's a difference between being quick and not being methodical. So I love learning from mistakes, but the goal is to mitigate mistakes. People are my punching bags. Unfortunately, it's unavoidable. To give you an example, a week ago, I got 2 of my advisors on a call, and I'm like, that's it. It's done. I'm done with this. There's no going back. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of missing out on my family. I'm sick of not seeing my daughter. I'm sick of not having a life, and I'm sick of going backwards. I think there's a perception that women are not as good as in business as men. And I think that's
No,
also unknown.
that's no. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a true statement in the sense of, I think women are very smart and very particular when it comes to business.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to DentMint, where business and innovation and dentistry collide. Today's guest is Steph Nightingale, founder of Stimmy, creator of the world's first functional toothpick, and a true innovator in the oral care and consumer product spaces. Steph, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I like meeting people face to face, so this is the closest.
Face to face, digital, it's all good.
Yep.
Beautiful. Before we jump in, we always generally like to ask if you could give the audience a quick elevator pitch in terms of who you are, what you do, and why you do it. In a minute or two. Go for it.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Steph Nightingale. I'm the founder of Stimmy, which is the first premium reusable toothpick that's both functional and clinically effective. It's amazing for busy life moments on the go and great for managing gum disease. It removes food, disrupts the plaque and the biofilm, and lasts up to 3 months. So, as you guys know, as humans, that we're now living a lifetime with all of our teeth, and it takes a full-time commitment, whatever your habits are that you do at home. And life is already so busy and so hectic. So I knew there was a smarter way to, tap this unmet need of cleaning our teeth on the go as busy people. I've been working in the field for 18 years now, just based on my patients and, human feedback. People in a nutshell, they just desire simplicity, things that provide instant gratification. People want to see and feel, instant results. Very few people walk around with traditional floss in their pockets and in their backpacks. And, the current products that we can pick our teeth on the go, they tend to bend and break after one use. So I kind of just married all of this product feedback from my patients, married the problems that I saw clinically in the dental chair with the solutions that I was able to achieve. And there's more to the backstory on why this thing came about. It did happen completely by accident, but that's, the overall vision and product overview.
Awesome. So how what sparked the idea of Stimmy? Like, when did you realize there was that real pain and a real market potential?
Yeah, so just for fun, I did like a rough calculation once, how many days of hygiene I used to work in a week, how many hours, how many patients I've seen. And when I first started this idea, it happened completely by accident, but I knew I had already seen over 34,000 hygiene appointments and patients. So what was happening was from day one, I've always been an anti-flossing lecturer. I like to show people how to floss. I like to educate on flossing. You will never hear me greet a patient into my chair and the first thing to say is, are you brushing? Are you flossing? And at the end of the appointment, I never wrap it up with, I need you to brush better for me. And I need you to floss better for me. Because all I hear is, it's for me. It's not for the patient. So, I would always want to transition those conversations to what's in it for you. If you're not this type of person to do X, how can I help you? If you're not aware you have these issues going on, how can I educate you? So from day one, I've always worked in perio, whether I was an assistant working for a periodontist, whether I was just in a general practice, but loved doing the SRPs, or whether I worked for periodontists as a hygienist. I would always pick up the utilitarian old school rubber tip stimulator and kind of use that as a plaque indicator, show people what they were missing versus saying, you need to do X better, you need to do Y better. And what happened was I'd always see eyebrows lift, like, I've seen that tool before, but no one's ever shown it to me, or my grandma had one, or my parents have one. It's been in the drawer forever, but I didn't know what it did. And I saw that reaction so many times. And so that was like kind of like the first bit. And it just kind of lived in my brain, lived in my head. I would never want to do anything with it. It's like not a sexy tool. It requires way too much educating. And it's just not something I would ever want to bring to market, so to speak. So what happened was, fast forward 2020 December, it was December 30th. I think it was a Thursday. I did my first set of gum grafting. And I woke up and I was frozen, and I kept saying to my husband, I need a stimulator. I need a stimulator. And I was slurring my words. And he goes, you need a stimmy what? And as a joke, I'm like, I need a stimmy. And he's like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to create it. So as a joke, I'm a consumer by the book. Like, you open consumer on Google in the dictionary, you will see my headshot. I am like so brought into like marketing, packaging, quality. I am like the toughest consumer, but if I like something, I have very high standards. So I couldn't find a stimulator for my specific issue that I was okay using and buying and wanting to keep on my counter. So I thought, just for fun, I'm going to draw what my dream scenario one would look like. And I actually tied in all my patient feedback. I tied in the ergonomic factor, the fact that they complain they can't bring their water pick with them on the go, the fact that they don't like that things bend and break after one use, the fact that they don't like, that you have to throw things out after one use, the fact that flossing is complicated. And I tied all that into a form factor, and still to date, I was like, who's ever going to buy this thing? I couldn't even explain it to people to try to make it. When people said, what is it? I couldn't even say what it did. I couldn't wrap like in a one line, what is this thing? And then I started going back to clinic. I couldn't get it out of my head for years. And I started paying more attention to restorative work. Why are people getting so many embrasures? Why are people needing class 5 fillings all the time under crowns? Plaques still not getting clean at the gum line. Why are we getting peri-implantitis on buccal and lingual surfaces? Because floss does not clean there. Why are we seeing furcations on the palates of the first molars? Floss does not clean there. Why am I seeing x-rays with like punched out black holes between the teeth? And I asked the patient, hey, do you use wooden toothpicks after meals? Now we need to go get this fixed. All these things started coming together, and I went, oh my God, what if there was a way that I can tap, my problem, and I'm irrelevant in the market, I'm one person, but I wanted to elevate the rubber tip stimulator, something that I was proud to use and excited to pull out and excited to add to my counter stack. but how do I also solve all those clinical issues that are not being addressed with the proxies, the soft picks, the floss, the water pick, those buccals, those linguals, those palatal surfaces? And how do I also make it user friendly, tying in those ergonomics and form factor to hit all the pain points I've heard over the years? So it was so many different variables, but because it spanned such a wide demographic in my dental chair, I was like, I can only imagine the people I've never met that I don't see. So I started just observing at restaurants. I'd go in the summer, I'd walk around patios, and I would watch people until they got their bill. How many people were doing this after a meal? How many people were looking for like their card in their purse to, pick something out of their teeth? And it all just kind of came together. And when you hear all the time, it's risky and it's not going to work, that's when you know you have a good idea.
That's amazing. I know probably Hossein is like, I don't know what all these terminologies mean, but
it just went right over my head. Like there's a lot of terminology. I'm like, what's this? What's this?
You're not in dental.
I'm not in dental. I'm in tech, but Dr. OG is like the dentist specialist guy.
I know. I'm
Okay.
just sitting here. I'm like, yeah. Hossein, I don't know if you know what
Like,
buckle means, what lingual means, but
it's basically what Japanese for me. So
no, you're fine. No, that's a amazing concept that you just talked about, because I think even in my practice or anywhere I practice so far, I always tell patients, and people have a tendency to buy this floss that has a handle with little like, and I'm like, all you're doing is you're just picking up food from one area and just packing it in another area, because you're not really supposed to use the same floss over and over again. So I think the idea that you kind of took the ergonomic side of things and you combine it with dentistry and you create the product that is not only solving the problem, but you're also giving the people the ability to really be able to go at the gum line and really clean up their teeth, clean up their gums. Because I think a lot, like you mentioned, a lot of the floss doesn't do that. And the water picks are just so messy. I have a water pick at home, and every time I use it, water is everywhere. So I don't know if that's a good thing, but
But it's
yeah.
okay. If that's what works for someone, some people love it and people are creative. We
Yeah.
say use it in the shower. We say get one that's like you can, doesn't take up too much space. There's so many solutions, but ultimately it's like, what are people actually going to use? So I saw a patient this past week. I was actually training a new hygienist at someone else's practice, and she's a new grad and they're not educated so much on the rubber tip. So I showed her, we had a furcation, we had bone loss on the inside of a lower molar. So you can actually get bacteria between those lower roots. And this patient was 82 years old. And I said, and it was on the inside towards her tongue. And I said to the hygienist I was training, now, if you were graduating out of school, what would the school tell you to do here? And she said, probably use an irrigator. And then after the appointment, I said, realistically, like, do you think this 82-year-old woman who's already missing so many teeth, who needs that tooth to chew to hold the supporting bridge on the upper arch, do you think she's going to go home every night, fill up a monojet syringe with saline or chlorhexidine and get it right under her gum and squirt? And she's like, no. And when I showed her the Stimmy, she was like, wow, where do I find these? Where do I get one of these? Can you do it everywhere or just there? And I showed her. And it's like, it's just finding people solutions that they're actually going to use. Anytime you're going to remove plaque or like loosen it, it's going to be better than not doing anything at all.
Yeah. I love that. I was watching one of your videos on LinkedIn. Not that I'm stalking you. Let me be clear on that one.
The same algo.
Yeah, I was like, I like how you were going to the stores and like putting the stymies on like the shelf and stuff. I was like, well, that's a cute idea. You're like manifesting the future.
It is the future. I mean, that's the goal. It is the future of oral care. I think oral care in general right now, it's primed for disruption, specifically amongst millennials and Gen Zs. And, there's a lot of disruption happening that is maybe not necessarily solving a problem, but there's plenty of space for new toothpaste, new mouthwashes, new flosses, something for everyone. But there isn't really much innovation of something never been done before, completely new, and, just positioning it as the after meal toothpick just happens to have gum health benefits.
Absolutely. Where do you make the product in? Like, do you make it in Canada or do you make it in China? Where do you guys make it
Yeah,
at?
our manufacturers are in Hong Kong, so it took me, oh my gosh, like 2 years to source the right partners. Again, back to me being like a crazy consumer. I wanted super high quality. So we're actually the first North American product to work with this manufacturer. They predominantly supply medical supplies, baby supplies to Japan and Europe. So
That's awesome.
super, super premium.
That's awesome. Are there any sort of, I'm just like curious, like since it is like essentially like a, I don't want to say medical device, but are there any sort of like a regulation that you had to go through when you kind of like release the product, or what were that step, or what were the challenges in the process of that?
Yeah, so no, that's a great question. It is medical device class one.
Mhm.
It's the same classification as a toothbrush. So everyone has to go through the same process. I would say it was like annoying, but the least underwhelming challenge when you have a startup. There's so many overwhelming challenges every single day. That one's just annoying because the way that they like, what is it called? They encrypt all their documents. You can't like actually open it the way you would open a normal PDF. I have to get my friends who are engineers to use their PCs because I have a Mac, and it's just annoying. But yes, like we do all the compliance stuff. Everything has a batch number, everything's traceable. You know, we could have gone a different route and not been premium and not been safe, but me being a professional in the industry, I want this to be a reflection of me as a dental professional. So I did go above what normal standards probably would have been.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love the fact that we as individuals, especially in the dental space, I see so many people that they see the problem, and then now around like, especially now this time in our generation, I think people are more open to like going after solving problems and just talking about it. So I like the fact that, you know, you saw the problem and then you just kind of come up with the solution of like, okay, how can I resolve that? Because I can tell you, like, we have this conversation with the patient all the time. Is like, now patients are like, oh man, I always floss, but I'm still getting cavities. Well, are you flossing correctly? Are you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing? So I think when I saw your product, I was just so fascinated by the functionality of it. That's really what interests me the most about it, because I think you're not really pushing the problems down the people gum. You're not causing trauma to the gum. You're not doing any of that. Because with the regular flosses, like people sometimes can get aggressive, cause like trauma to their tissue. So I think just seeing what your product does is just super fascinating. How did you come up with the design? Like, what was the idea of the design? Where did you get that from?
So, like I said, the ergonomics came from patient feedback. The cap came from community feedback. So, I actually launched a Kickstarter September 2023. I was like teasing this behind the scenes on my Instagram with just like my family and friends, whoever follows me. And I got a lot of people like saying like, I hope it has a lid. Does it have a lid? It actually wasn't compact at first. It was actually long and just pretty. And then when I realized, when I was doing my rounds at restaurants, when I realized that people need this on the go, that's when I pivoted the size. And in terms of like the curvatures and everything, my favorite designer, it's not fashion, it's more just like little trinkets, but it's Elsa Peretti. So she does jewelry for Tiffany's, but she does these like beautiful bean shaped boxes. They're iconic. I don't think they've changed for like a million years. And I wanted something that had a very distinct look that when people see the shape, it's like, oh, it's the shape of a Stimmy. Just like when people see a bean, oh, it's the Elsa Peretti shape. So I just wanted something very easy to identify, but something that would live on. And actually, yeah, and just like not feel dated and never feel utilitarian.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's fascinating when you think about the things that we can do when we look at other people's idea and just come up with other ideas. That's amazing. The one thing that fascinated me when you mentioned something, you said that that it can last up to 3 months.
Yes. Yeah, it
Wow.
lasts it to be honest, I think it lasts a lot longer. I saw my dermatologist today and he's like, "I love my Stimmy. I can't travel without it." And I'm like, "Well, you've traveled a lot since I've seen you. Like how long are you using these for?" He's like, "Oh, I've just been alternating between this." He bought like 6 of them. He's like, "I've been alternating between the 6." And I'm like, but you've had these since May. Like, you need more. If he's like, oh, they're perfect. They're still perfect. So they last a long time if you're not aggressive with them. I hope people are not aggressive with them. Like, there's like instructions on the back and it's very intuitive, but the quality is so good that they do hold up. But just like anything, if you're sick, you want to toss out your oral care just in terms of like cleanliness, but my daughter, for instance, she's 7. She's been using them since she was 4 and she just likes to bite on them and chew them. So obviously hers are going to go a lot faster. But that's the other thing. Like when you're talking about problem solving, that's where our brains go because we're so clinical. And the coolest thing about going to market is hearing and seeing people using these for different reasons. And I'm like, oh, I actually never thought of that. I never thought this was a use case. So like these ortho patients, my nephew who's 12, he was in full brackets, he's never flossing. 12-year-old boys don't even brush their teeth. And like he would just chill on the couch watching TV because he wanted to get the food out of his teeth. But when I would film him up close doing it, you could actually see all the plaque he's getting off at the same time. And I'm like, wow, like it's actually doing something good for his gums, but he's just using it because it feels good. And he had seeds in his teeth. And then I look at my daughter who has like the world's strongest lower lip. You can never get a toothbrush down there, but she loves, again, just sitting there watching TV, playing with it. I'm like, if I can get a young 5-year-old, 6-year-old to be excited about doing something that cleans their teeth, like how freaking cool is that versus sitting them down, lecturing them, teaching them, just finding these habits that are going to go a long way. That's just been really cool. And then for me also just getting random DMs. I bought this as part of my makeup kit, as part of my like get ready kit, my get selfie ready. I keep it in my makeup bag. And they're like, I've been using it for 6 months and I went for my cleaning and my dentist noticed that my gums are so much healthier. They didn't buy it for the oral health reason. This person, they didn't buy it because they want to improve their gums. They bought it so that they could just have a clean, confident smile on the go. And it just so happened to make a difference in their oral health. So that's been like the best surprise where I wasn't trying to problem solve on the oral health side, but maybe problem solve on the what are we doing in those busy life moments face to face with other people.
I can vouch for the fact of, 13, 12-year-old boys not. It takes like I have to force my kid to be like, just go brush your teeth. Did you brush your teeth? Have you brushed your teeth? There's like, no. It's so challenging. Like it is so challenging. So I can vouch for that. Maybe I should get a couple of these. One in his bag, one in his room. I have a question, actually kind of a bit of a apparently he's gonna be the next billionaire, but he's a guy that's all about fast, fast being super fast at doing something. So I watched this podcast recently, and she was talking about how her mentor is Bill Perkins, and Bill Perkins is, I think he's got a Navy background or something like that, but he's kind of the kind of guy that when someone says I have an idea, he doesn't wait. He executes very quickly. And by the time people have set up a meeting and they're in the first initial steps, he's already failed 3 times and he knows one quicker way of achieving something. And I love that concept. I love that concept. Learning through failure. And I know you have that fail first, learn fast idea. And you've talked about this in your past business ideas that haven't launched. But how did those failures prepare you for Stimmy's current success?
So for starter, I love this question. Like, this is like my sweet spot. Like, yes, I live and breathe dental every day and I have for the last 20 years, but like, I love the business side of this. And this is how I know I'm cut out for this. I do work super fast. And from the outside in, when people are like, haven't you been at this we just launched, by the way, 10 months ago, almost 11 months ago. So not even a full year. And everyone's like, haven't you been at this for 4 years? I'm like, yeah, but don't you know how long every step takes? Even when you're working super quick. For context, morning, my first call, I had a text at 4:30 a.m. Hey, are you awake? Could we hop on a quick call? Was on a call with some of my partners before 5 a.m., wrapped that up, did the recap email, updated the documents, got my daughter, breakfast, ready for school, out the door, meeting 1, meeting 2, took one on the go, meeting 3, ran back here, saw you guys. Like there is no stopping. So I work really fast, but there's a difference between being quick and not being methodical. So I love learning from mistakes, but the goal is to mitigate mistakes because one, they're going to cost you money. Money, you can always get creative, you can always get it back. You can never get back your time. So if you're going to make mistakes and waste a lot of time, if it's for me, that's a bigger loss than just losing dollars. So with every decision, I try to be methodical. Every day I have about like a checklist of 30 things I have in my calendar, and I try to get through them, and I never get through them all, and they roll over to the next day, and they roll over to the next day, and some of them never get done at all. And I just always try to rank what is like mission critical, needs to get done right now, what will make and break my business, and what are the things that if I don't get to, it's not going to take me back, but it's also not going to propel me forward. So that can wait. So I kind of work that way through day to day. I'm very happy. So like when I say like my failed businesses, these are just like, I think every entrepreneur like wakes up in the middle of the night with like 1,000 ideas, and like you just can't wait to do something with them.
Exactly.
I'm glad I shared that because the one I'm referring to is like the infrared sauna. That's the one you're referring to, right? The infrared sauna experience. And I learned
Exactly.
so much during those 18 months. I was just meeting with people who have built, waxing studios, beauty studios, fitness studios, meeting with people who have built brands, meeting with private equity investors, just having these conversations, learning everything. And even though I felt like I did it for almost 2 years, it gave me like this much of a foundation to do what I'm doing now because it's still completely new. Building something that's a service where you could just go online and say, okay, I'm going to buy this sauna and I'm going to rent out this space and I'm going to test one sauna, one cold plunge and like see if this thing works. It's easier to test, but it's very hard when you're trying to share a vision and get feedback and get initial working capital when you can't do this and hand it to someone and say, this is what it is and this is what it does. It's no product to show for it. So I kind of started from scratch. But I think when you actually have the idea and you're quick, the quicker you are working through the steps, the quicker you'll learn. Is this viable? Is it going to work? Is there a market fit? What's the market opportunity? And are you the right person to do it? So that was kind of my 2.5, 3 years before I even had a product to launch. I'm very lucky that when I went to market, you get all this like unsolicited advice. It's like being a new mom. Everyone wants to tell you what to do, what to do, what to do. And in my head,
Exactly.
I'm like, guys, don't you think I've already thought this through? But what I realized is, and people have told me, they're like, Steph, like, you're a little unique. Most people do go to market and they learn their mistakes along the way once they're in market. And that's when they get the feedback once they're in market and they continue to pivot and learn and regress and move forward, etc. I probably mitigated 80% of that by doing all those things for 2.5, almost 3 years before launching, just because I needed to mitigate risk. Just stage in my life, age, mortgage, family, kid, tons of money to get this thing off the ground. I needed to make sure before I put myself at risk, my house, my relationships, everything. I don't want to do that to other people who are also involved as well. So it's just, you just got to do it. And it's scary, but you have to put yourself out there because if it's just you and four walls, you still don't know if something's going to work and take off. And even today, like you still don't know. And I look at other brands who have been doing it for 7, 8, 9 years, and they say every day, I still don't know. So you just got to keep going.
Love that. Awesome. That's a great, great response. So there was a lot of parallels, and that definitely helped you. Okay, I've got another question, but before we hop into the next one, and Dr. OG's got time. I'm gonna plug the sponsor. This particular episode is brought to you by Allo AI, the AI receptionist that's designed for dental offices with support in 23 languages, 0 hold times, direct integration with the PMS or practice management system. Allo AI turns those missed calls into booked appointments. So if you're curious, please go to alloai.ca. There's a link in the description below, and yeah, we'll be happy to talk about that. Now, let's get back to the show. So
The show is a good way to go. Well, I
the
also,
show, yeah,
yeah, I was also, as you guys were speaking, I was trying to find Steph's website. So because I was curious to see what it is. It's a pretty cool site for everyone who wants to check it out. It's
Yeah.
like shopstymie.com. Is that right?
Shopstimmy.com.
It's Stimmy.com. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, man. I like it. I like the design. I like the explanation. It's pretty, the signature 3-pack is $16.95. Not too bad. Not too
It's really
bad.
cool. Again, I gotta get some for my kiddo and for myself traveling and everything. It's actually a great idea. Now, Stimmy is actually crossing into like wellness and beauty verticals from what I
Yeah.
so what's driving that shift? And the second part of that question is how are your clientele responding? How are consumers responding to that?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. I've always wanted to be positioned at the intersection of, you know, beauty and wellness and oral care. And you transcend such a wider demographic. So just selfishly, just in terms of market opportunity, you can dominate the market that way. But two, like to go back to the point of this being like that after meal, get selfie ready. Think of all the times you've been at a wedding and you're talking to people and they have seeds like in lettuce and stuff stuck in their teeth and you just wish you just had one of these and go to the bathroom, use it, rinse, wipe, whatever. And then all the clinical aspects that I've seen in the dental chair where, like I said, the floss and proxies and soft picks and all that stuff doesn't reach, the function is there as well. What's cool about how the markets respond to this is those 2.5, 3 years of building my business before it existed. And people would say, like, what's your go-to-market strategy? Phase one was to get the dental community on board. Because if I can replicate, tens of thousands of me's, like that's it. Like patient education, educate the consumer, like it's all done for me. We're in this together, off to the races. That's what I thought would happen. And what's cool is one of my investors actually said to me, you don't know, and you have to be ready to pivot because once you go to market, the market's going to talk back. And he was so right because as soon as I went to market, it was like the dental community was kind of hesitant, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We've never seen this before. Is this viable? Is this real? Kind of like when like purple toothpaste launched on TikTok. We all knew right away, okay, this is a marketing gimmick. This is a celebrity endorsed product. Everyone's hesitant, but we were curious. So it was kind of the consumer, like the non-dental that were all over it. And I wasn't surprised because those are my end users. And yes, they're online and they were purchasing it off my website and through my Kickstarter initially before we were in retail. And I was like, well, of course it makes sense that you're using it because I've seen a version of each of you in my dental chair. So I already know just because you're not my patient right now and I'm seeing you on my screen and you're on my Shopify and wherever you're buying from, you're still that same person. You still hit that same profile of all the people I've seen as patients that have the same problems. So it makes sense. But what was so cool was that organically, without asking anyone to do anything, people were getting their orders and they just started making content and making videos and sharing. And that creates a ripple effect, especially when it happens organically and you're not paying influencers, you're not paying creators, and it's just happening. That's when the dental community, they kind of like trail behind, like, this is interesting. Okay, people are actually liking this. I kind of want to learn more. And then once you get those KOLs on board and they're like, oh my God, we need this, it just takes a handful of those people. And once they're on board, and then it's just been a ripple effect. I'd say for hygiene KOLs, it's been a ripple effect. Just recently, we've had so much interest from the orthodontic community. So it happened. My go-to-market strategy didn't work out, but I was ready for it. As soon as I saw who was buying and how they were propelling the brand, I was like, I need to double down on this. I guess it's going to be Instagram because that's where people are sharing and that's where people are posting. And that was my focus. And then once the dental community really started to get the buy-in, that's when I kind of transitioned to focusing more on LinkedIn and sharing my story and sharing my experience and being a credible, having that accreditation check. Because not many new emerging oral care brands come from clinical experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's amazing. I mean, I love what I love about your story is the story of the hustle and the grind. The hustle, the grind doesn't stop. A few months back, I mean, I know exactly what you mean because a few months back we start working on Dentman, which is going to be a online social media platform for the dentists only. So very similar to LinkedIn. And as we speak, we're building it. We're working with the crew in a different country, the developers. So I know exactly what you mean. The grind of it is the hardest part of the whole journey. And there are days that, I call Masood and I'm like, I'm done with this. Can't do this no more. But we keep going, we keep pushing through. How are you dealing with the tough days? How is that? Because I know being an entrepreneur and being as somebody that, like I said, I go through it now and I understand you probably have some tough days. I know every day is not a good day. How do you deal with that?
It's manic. I feel like I need to film this and share this with the people that need to hear it the most because I do a lot of apologizing. People are my punching bags. Unfortunately, it's unavoidable. And, to give you an example, a week ago, I got two of my advisors on a call and I'm like, that's it. It's done. I'm done with this. There's no going back. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of missing out on my family. I'm sick of not seeing my daughter. I'm sick of not having a life and I'm sick of going backwards. And literally not even 24 hours later, I got 3 new retailers in New York. So it's so manic because you always hear the highs are so high and the lows are so low. That is the understatement of the century. And I'm a very extreme personality. So I don't deal with it well. So I deal with it I have punching bags that luckily have not left me. I take accountability. So when people say, Steph, if this is the way you're going to talk to people and if this is the way you're going to treat people, you're not going to have partners for very long. And I'm very quick to apologize and not just in the moment, but meaningfully hey, that was a really dark moment. Thank God I have you because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here right now. And even when people don't expect it, just out of the blue to be hey, a few weeks ago, the things I said to you are really shitty. And I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you. And I'm so grateful that I have you here. Building your support system is everything. And who you think your support system is, that's not who I'm talking about. You have your family and you have your friends. But the issue is with them is they know you before you were your business. So that's the relationship they have with you. They don't want to know you with this new identity where your face is only your business. And when people see you, how Stimmy, how Stimmy, how Stimmy, they knew you before that. They're going to support you. They're going to love you, but they don't want to be your punching bag. They don't want to hear about your business every day. No one wants to hear about this in my house. We have a no talk about Stimmy rule. But you find people who are either going through something similar. They're also founders. You find common ground with them. They're going through their own thing. And it's all you talk about, but it's a two-way street. You listen to them, they listen to you. And it's when I say you find your people and you find your network, it's people that you can comfortably lean on just for the shitty moments. And they're never going to say to you, everything with you is so negative. Because that's what I hear. And when things amazing happen, you're not going to feel like she's just lucky. Everything happens for her. She's just lucky. You need to find those people who celebrate the wins with you and are going to just listen and be there for you when things are really shitty and you just don't feel alone. That to me has literally saved my life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's so, I love the fact that the one thing that I love about the people that I bring on the podcast is the fact that you're yourself. And I really truly admire that because it's hard for a lot of
True.
people to admit the fact that they're wrong at what they do. And even today, I was telling you had a podcast last night with Mr. Eric, and I was saying that I had a really bad day at my office with my office manager, and truly, I walked into there and I just said, for all its worth, I just went to her and I said, hey, I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. I think that I overreacted. I think I'm laser focused on certain things, and I think that's what dentistry does to you. Sometimes you just become so laser focused on the task at hand because that's how your brain is programmed. So, the fact that you're recognizing that, I think that's the biggest, that you're recognizing the fact that, hey, I go into these dark moments and sometimes people around us have to take it on. Like my office manager had to take it on yesterday because I just wasn't having it. I wasn't having a good day. I was like, I'm done. I want to leave. I'm done. Like I mentally checked out. But then the next day, I'm like, hey, like it is what it is. Like we'll just get through it and we move on. So I really appreciate you sharing that because I think people need to hear more of the fact that we as leaders can be vulnerable. We as leaders can have bad days, but we can come back from it. We can come back from it and come back from it stronger. So I truly appreciate you sharing that because other people need to hear it. They need to hear that every day is not going to be a good day, and I think that's truly an amazing thing to do. So I appreciate you sharing that.
I agree. Piggyback on exactly what Dr. say yesterday. We saw the conversation we had, the podcast with the guest. He was incredibly calm. We were just in awe on how calm he was, and it's always great to have guests that are very genuine and straightforward and are able to kind of be vulnerable in front of the people. And it is a burden to bear, like you as founders, you as doctors, as dentists. You have a very stressful job. It's not easy, which kind of leads into the next somewhat subject. As a woman that's kind of innovating in both dentistry and a consumer products as a founder, have you faced any kind of specific challenges or unexpected advantages, maybe even in a male-dominated industry? Male-dominated space. I can say this because I've also noticed this in the IT world. It's 80-90% male-dominated. Every event I've gone to in the last 10 years is like just men and then a few women. It's very challenging for my colleagues and friends that are women to navigate that world. They come out battered and bruised, and it's such a challenge. So how do you navigate that, and how do those experiences change or shape you as a founder?
Through them early. So I went through some things and I blame being a woman, and I'm like, this would never happen if it was a guy. And and in my core, I believe it, but there's like no way to really prove it. There's really shitty things that have happened. Definitely not appropriate for podcasts or anything.
Say it.
But something that's super interesting, it's very imbalanced. So when I first launched,
Give us the juiciest stuff. So give us the juiciest.
No, I can't. No, the thing that my claim to fame story is that, when I was fundraising and I couldn't get funding, a couple of things happened. One, everyone's like, you should look at grants. There's so many female founder, female entrepreneur grants. And I ended up getting into one, and it was a wonderful experience. I learned a few new learnings, but a lot of it was just like basic business fundamentals. And it was a small amount, super grateful, definitely needed that little hit of cash at the time, but very, very small. And then all the bigger grants, I would just hear no, 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 no. So I wrote about this on LinkedIn, not on my wall, on a tech founders wall, when they were talking about founders being interesting and things that they've had to do to unlock doors. Like there's like a locked door in front of you. Like it's not about like hitting a wall. It's about getting creative and like finding ways to open the doors. And I wrote my story. I go, this is very similar to me. I kept running into locked doors when I was looking for grants and funding. And I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to get creative and I'm going to go where the money is. Where's the money? We know for a fact it goes to 98% men, and we know for a fact that it all lives in tech. So I started to look for tech grants, and it's just an application, and they just ask for like the name of your product, maybe a brief overview, and they don't ask for details about what you're building. It's more so like, what are your sales to date? Like, just like, what are your projected sales? What's your IP portfolio? What would you do with the money if you got it, etc. And I applied to not one, but two. The first one I got in like overnight. It was so easy. I had to write a test, a module, get 80% test scores or above, etc. It was actually quite interesting, and it felt meaningful. And I felt like I learned something new, where the female founded grant was. It was very basic, but again, totally different programs. Second one, I actually applied as Stefan, not Stephanie, and I got a lot of money. And again, like I thought in my head, wow, this is wild and this is going to make a lot of people upset, but I'm actually just not surprised.
So you applied as a male and you just got it.
And I got it.
Okay.
And The thing is, I was going to share this publicly. I have now recently because I put it on this guy's LinkedIn post. And of course, it has like all these comments following it, and no one's arguing with me. Everyone's like, yeah, we know this is the reality. It's crazy that you actually experienced it. And rather than me blasting who these people were and what the fun was, I just thought I met them head on, and they just said, it's so lovely to meet you. We're so happy to have you here. How are you liking being enrolled in the program? And I said, actually, I think I'm here by mistake because I'm not in tech. I'm in CPG, consumer packaged goods. And I said, and I think I had a typo when on my application, I missed a few letters and it came up as Stefan, not Stephanie. And I said, and she's like, oh, that's okay. We're so happy to have you here. I go, no, but when I think about it, I'm guessing that you thought I was a male in tech. And it's no. And they got their back up a little bit. And I said, but honestly, when I look around the room, how many people were invited to this event? And they said 150, we expected, maybe 120 showed up. And I said, right, I'm one of 6 females. And she's like, no, like, you're right. Like, we don't know what happened with your application. It was not intentional, but she absolutely acknowledged the fact that there was a huge imbalance between who was at this panel and event, male versus female. And it was very obvious. So that was one imbalance. The other was I finally kicked my ego at the door about me being smart and me being capable and having great business acumen. Because I used to always, when I would storytell and pitch and talk about traction, it would always be weaving in the men who have validated me. And I'm working with this guy and this CEO of this company and this man who exited for this much money. And rather than that was just storytelling. It was all true. But I was like, I could do this without those stories, but it made it easier for me. And then when I would have face-to-face meetings as well, when things weren't moving fast enough and I just needed to hear no, it's like men were like almost scared to say no to me. And I'm like, just tell me no. You'd much prefer a quick road to a no than a long road to a yes. I don't know if they're scared to give it to me straight. I don't know if they're worried they're going to hurt my feelings, but like, just tell me and then we can move on. And those conversations weren't happening fast enough. So I used to ask some of my advisors, hey, do you want to just like hop on this call with me? They're like, what is it about? I'm like, no, I don't need to prep you. I'm going to steer the ship. Like, I just need you to sit there. Just be a male on the screen with me. The change in those meetings night and day. And I went, wow, do you want to come on every meeting with me? Just having a man beside me, it was like all of a sudden I'm taken seriously. So I don't see that so much now because now I'm valuable. I don't look at the person I'm talking to. Like my time is valuable. And if I hop on a call and I see sometimes I could feel it where they're just like, they see me and they're just like, like they're thinking this is going to waste my time. I'll just be like, oh, listen, if this is a bad time and like you're busy, like we totally don't have to do this. And then they're like, no. So, yeah, if I need things to move fast and I want.
That's crazy. Steph, I'll tell you this. If you ever need the man on the call, you call me and let me know.
Thank you.
Yes,
Definitely.
I was gonna say
100%.
I'm 6'5", 250 pounds. Nobody says no to me.
Oh, you are tall. So you must have a hard time with ergonomics working in the chair.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation yesterday or 2 days ago with one of my assistants. Every time I do extraction, I'm like hovering over the patient. I was like, guys, for life of me, just buy one of these girls wants some stool or something. I'm dying.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't want to say I'm so sorry because being tall is a blessing, but for dentistry, it is hard.
Yeah, it is. Some days my body hurts, but you know what? It's all good. I picked the profession. I'm paying the price. It's all good. I enjoy it. But yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna be like, you need a bodyguard. You let me know. I'm all on your side.
He'll sit on a call
I'll
100%.
sit on whatever
100%.
call. Yeah, a few days back, Masood reached out. He was like, "Can you get on this call?" I'm like, "Sure, buddy, no problem. Whatever you want." I'm like, I can be your bodyguard on the calls."
it's not from like a protective standpoint. It's not like these guys need to protect me from anything. It's that I think there's a perception that women are not as good as in business as men. And I think that's
No,
also like unknown.
that's no, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's a true statement in a sense of, I think women are very smart and very particular when it comes to business. And I think that I've seen some very successful businesses that are run by female. But I agree with you in the sense of what you're saying, because I think my co-founder Sarah put on her LinkedIn not long ago that even on in a dental industry, like she has a marketing company with that is like in a dental. And she was saying, like, they go into these dental conferences and they look on the panel of people that are speaking, and out of the 10 people that are speaking, one of them is a woman, and then like everybody else is a guy. So I think I truly understand what you're saying. I think that that perception is out there, but as more and more we go, I think people are going to realize that
Yeah.
the playing field is equally for everybody. Everybody's able and capable of
It's kind of
doing.
shifting.
It's going to
Yeah.
shift. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely shifting
Agree.
in how we're
100%.
looking at it and all of that. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of those things. So
I, I've seen that a lot also in the IT world, in the managed service provider world. Like 10 years ago, I used to work with this lady who was just hired as a director of marketing, and she was given the daunting task of starting a convention. Fast forward to 2 years after she spearheaded two conventions with two of the most successful events in that entire industry, that everybody had so many positive things. And I was sitting there next to this lady afterwards. I'm like, Holly, how did you feel about that? Yeah, this is all you. Like 400 CEOs are here, and we've got $2.5 million that was poured into this. This is all you. And she's like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get the recognition that I would have because of, and she sits down and pours her heart out. And I was like mind blown. This was 10 years ago. Her mind's like completely blown about her perspective. Fast forward to very recently, in the last 2, 3 years, as she's now an SVP in one of the top levels of the same company that's now worth $16 billion. And it took a while, but now she's up there and she's got a few people. It's taken a bit, but slowly there's been a bit of a change, which is good to see. It is genuinely good to see. There is still a lot more work to go in every field, but
And it's great too. Like, as much as I want to empower females and be female forward, I truly believe in there being so much value in having a male perspective. When I look at like my advisory board, and these are not just like headshots in a deck to like say that I have experts like helping me. These are like people rolling up their sleeves, working with me in the trenches. Like, they are my team. They are like doing this. We're doing it together. And I have, 10 years older than me, 20 years older than me, younger than me, and then equally we're male, female, 50-50. So it's amazing to have the perspective of both. I think I would still want to have that. I don't need to be more than 50% female. It can be 50-50. I don't care about that. Being the founder and the leader to it's just, it is more challenging. And with raising money, like, this is a stat, like only like less than 2% of female founders will get funding for their venture.
that's awesome. Well, Steph, I want to thank you so much for coming on here on this Friday afternoon, seeing us, hanging out with us. I am super proud of what you made. I think that you're going to change how we do dentistry. I think that your product is going to change people's life. I believe in it. I think that you're doing a good thing for people. The fact that you're putting your heart and your soul into this product, I think it's so amazing and fascinating. I'm fascinated by the fact that how passionate you are about it. I respect you for it. I think that you're gonna, we'll be here as a group of dentmen to be supporting your product, to be all for it. If there is anything that I can do, to bring more awareness about your product into the market, you let me know. I always want to support others, help others. We are all in this together. So I truly appreciate your time. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the fact that you came on and you're yourself and you're passionate. I'm very grateful for that. So thank you so much.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. I love LinkedIn. I think it's where the cool kids hang out now. So I make the best connections on there. So I'm honored that you guys wanted to chat with me. So, and
absolutely
thank you for such
appreciate
kind words. That's really nice.
No,
you
because
very well.
every time you speak, I can sense the passion that you have for it. And that's what I love when people do something that they're passionate about, because I have a lot of respect for that, because I think you're putting your time, and as a female, you're going through the challenge of like having to deal with creepy dudes and everything else in between, and you're still doing it. my head goes out to you. So I'm very proud.
Thank you.
Same here. Same sentiments. Steph, it's been amazing. A great conversation. Thank you very much for talking about the innovation of actually building it. Products, talking about your experience. If anybody's curious, please go to shopstimmy.com. Actually, if you put it on Google, it should be the first one on there.
Yeah,
Shopstimmy.com.
that's organic. We've never paid.
It's fantastic.
So
that's awesome.
Even just typing in Stimmy on Google, it will be the first thing you see.
Exactly. And it came up for me, so it works. Great. Love it.
Oh, good.
Appreciate your time. And if anybody's curious in terms of reaching out to Steph, please go to LinkedIn, look for Steph, and you'll be able to have a conversation with her there. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Any last words, Steph?
No, just like I want to stay connected, and I will never treat you guys as my punching bag. You will only get me on my plate.
No, it's all good stuff. But you let me know if there's anything that I can do to support your idea and your vision. I'm all for it. You just reach out, let me know. If I have to knock doors down and unlock them, you let me know. I'll support you along the way.
You guys, all I'm asking for you is you just have to send me, just on LinkedIn, you can shoot me your addresses so I can send you some samples as a thank you.
That is sweet of you. Well, how about this? Me and Hossein and the team will go buy it from your website because we rather support you than you send me the sample.
That's the thing. I always say no free samples, but I'd rather support you that way. So
I want to support you more than anything else.
We'll start there, 100%. And then you can buy for your dental practice. Then I'll be very happy.
We'll do that. We'll do that plus more. And when I buy your product, I will promise you, I will bring it on here and I will do a review on it. Honest review.
Good.
Yes, that sounds good. Okay, that's my promise to you. So Hossein, on the next podcast or the podcast that we have a Stimmy or a Stimmy. We're gonna. There you go. She's showing us how to do it. There you go. We're gonna do a live review. How about that?
Exactly. It's like an unboxing /
unboxing and everything. There we go. We'll do that. Hey, that's a good podcast idea. We should do that.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Love it.
Steph, thank you so
appreciate
much.
It.
I really
thank
appreciate
you.
Guys, happy Friday.
Absolutely, you as well. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, share, follow, press the up button, down button, whatever, and appreciate everybody for joining. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.